Graduated from Powell High School, NWC and the University of Wyoming. Was a farmer in the Powell area. Did a couple stints selling chemicals and that kind of stuff, and then came back in '87 and is now our farm bureau insurance agent here. So Larry French is going to talk about risk management and larger gardens. Is that right?
Yeah. My mom, when we were kids, fed a family of 7 of us literally out of our garden. The calves and lambs and those kinds of things that we raised were for the town people. We ate Army Game Warden Junior, poached deer, and we ate a few pigs, milk cow calf once in a while. But I hated the garden when I was a kid because we had to work in it. But my mom would can about 1,500 quarts a year of everything you can imagine. It was phenomenal. So consequently, after I got up and didn't have to work in the garden and had a family of my own, I fed my kids out of the garden too. And it's amazing how much you can produce out of a 8 by 20 square foot, an 8 by 20 foot garden. But anyway, so about 6 years ago, my wife told me that she couldn't process everything that I was growing, so we started selling the farm market. My daughter in Logan, Colorado, bought a CSA, which means Community Service Agriculture Share, and she got produce every week. So I started doing a little research on that, and I thought, well, this is kind of a cool deal. So my first adventure in CSAs was 3 years ago, and I sold 5 shares. And it's kind of, I don't know if you're familiar with the Bonifant basket, but it's kind of like Larry's basket instead of Bonifant basket. So then, being the farmer that's in me, one day I've got my little garden that's about 60 feet wide and 100 feet long, and I'm irrigating the tubes out of my cement ditch. Standing there one day watching my water run, and I'm going, there's an acre and a quarter right there. It has nothing in it, and I don't have any livestock. I'll bet you that I can do something about that. Well, we live out in the East Wildwood, and the East Wildwood raises 3 things really good: rocks, weeds, and good neighbors. Well, you can raise pumpkins in rocks this big, like you cannot fathom in your whole life. I had 200 of them this big. So rocks aren't necessarily a detriment, other than the fact they're a pain in the rear, hard on your machinery, those kinds of things. So kind of fast forward, I'm thinking, now what would I do? How would I get rid of this produce if I actually had an acre and a quarter garden? Well, the obvious here is pennies to sell. So last year, I kicked up my garden shares from 4 to 40. Now I'm going to tell you something. An acre and a quarter garden is massive. You can't use herbicides on it, because what will kill weeds and not kill corn will kill beans or peas or carrots or those kind of things. So it's all manual labor. Keep your hoe sharp and sweat. You can do some pesticide control, but I'm also a beekeeper. You have to be very careful, because bees are like sheep, they're looking for a place to die. I had 7 colonies this year, and I'm down to 1. They just die in droves. So hopefully we can figure out how to get past that. So anyway, I decided I better give me a logo and do some stuff, so I formed a little garden company. It's not an LLC or anything, it's just me. Called Larry's Garden and Honey, and Betsy's got some. My daughter put us on a Facebook site. So these are photos that my daughter took, and here's some of my honey, obviously, and here's some tomatoes. My wife loves her chickens, and here's my little 6 by 12 greenhouse. Okay, so the topic of this discussion is risk management of a large commercial garden. What do you think the biggest risk in a garden is? In Powell, Wyoming.
Drought.
Pardon?
Drought.
I'm sorry.
Drought.
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 Drought? No, because we're hail and frost. Okay. You can't buy multi-peril crop insurance on a garden. It does not exist because we have 39 different vegetables. But you can buy hail insurance. So I bought some hail insurance on my garden. Of our 40 shares, we had 35 of them that come to pallets at the farmer's market. We delivered them there, they picked them up there, and then we sold the produce at the farmer's market. So hail and frost can be kind of mitigated by a hoop house. So this is my hoop house. This is in July. And these over here are tomatoes, right here cucumbers. There's some more tomatoes. I tried to experiment right here and planted corn in there in July. I got up about this tall before it froze off. These are peppers up through here. These are eggplant, some more tomatoes up there. And you can tell that we can roll these sides up. We can also roll this end up, and you can see right here this bar where the kids are standing. These are a couple of my grandkids. So we're making some modifications to that. The reason we have to roll these sides up is because it gets really hot in there. Tomato pollen dies at 100 degrees. So you have to be fairly careful how you kind of watch your heat. But this plastic here is only, I don't know what, 5 mils thick or something. And there's no heat in here, so on October 14th, when it got 14 degrees, wham, froze my garden. We were really, really late in getting this put together. We bought this, it was delivered in March, we thought we'd be fine, we had a contractor put together, it was gonna do it. What the contractor did was come in and poured these cement footings. You can see our rafters here, they're set in cement. We put more rafters in because of the wind that we have in this area. We went from 4-foot spacings to 3. This building is 30 by 72. And I've got 6 rows in here. You can't see the one over here because the tomatoes are covering it. We found out a couple things. Plants really, really like it in here. They grow really good. Black widow spiders love it in here. We had black widow spiders that you cannot fathom. None of us got bitten by one, but it's like, ah, there's another one. Of course, they don't do any harm to the plants, it's just the pickers. Grasshoppers, they were there, but they didn't create as much problem. But in our, that's here, there's some more pictures that might show the outside part of the garden. Let's see. Yeah, right here. This one here shows my outside garden. From the rows run this way. So from here to there is about 120 feet. The wastewater runs down this way. It doesn't show it, but I irrigate this with gated pipe. And on this end up here, I've got another little garden that the rows actually run a different direction. And that's what, is there a picture of my beehives in there anywhere? And there's a picture of me and my granddaughter out there. We're buzzing around on a tractor one day, harrowing. There they are. That's a winter picture of my bees. I'm trying to cover them with some straw to keep them alive, keep them from freezing to death. But you can starve a bee to death real quick. If they don't have honey in there, you better be feeding them. Usually it starts in March.
What do you feed a bee?
Actually, corn syrup. Works good. You can make the syrup out of sugar. The corn syrup works really well. So anyway, so at our farmer's market, we sell lots of produce, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with Raspberry Delight Farms at Shoshone, Wyoming, but a friend of mine started that, and it's an amazing thing that he does. So, let's go back to the one where the hoop house is empty. And we're starting in there. But anyway,
Where the hoop house is empty, you said?
yeah, there's the one without the kids in it. Oh, right, yeah, okay, yeah, let's do those hoop house pictures.
Which one?
Okay, right there, this one here is where we're trying to, that's where we're getting started. And what we've done here is we took a 2x6, laid them here, this is potting soil and stuff. And this one here is also potting soil, but here, put a gravel walkway, because you have to be able to get in there. So we have 6 of these, 5 of these. Okay, got another one there somewhere. And then,
That one.
yeah, right there, yeah. Now that gives you a good perspective of what it looks like. And like I say, you know, we open this in and drive a tractor in there and stuff. We had this hoop house ordered in March. Contractor lined up. When we added the rafter kits, the extra rafter kits, everything comes in, you get back and this tells you what's in there. We read it. Everything appears to be there. Contractor gets going, and he finds out that these pieces right here, 12 of them are missing. Well, contractors schedule themselves, they're like any other business. They can't be waiting on parts. So, we were delayed 2 weeks getting our little rafter pieces. So they come back, they get the structure built, and the wind is blowing 40 miles an hour, 24/7 for a month. Now this whole piece right here, from right there, over to the other side, 72 feet long, is one piece. Have you ever seen a 30 by 72 foot sail? You cannot put that up there with the wind.
Right.
So we caught a nice one day. They were gracious enough to come back, finish up the structure when all the parts finally got there. Come back, we got this cover put on. And then these sides here, we didn't read the instructions right, they were really hard to read. You can't see it, but like this, there's a little, yeah, see them right here? These little things? Those are ropes. Keep that thing from flying. Well, the instructions said to put them on the inside. So we put them on the inside. 29 in April, have a chance to go to our little timeshare in Red Lodge, so we take off to Red Lodge. My farm renter calls me up and he goes, Larry, your hoop house is trying to fly away. The wind is blowing 60 miles an hour, and these sides, here and over here, are out like this going, fly away, fly away. So fortunately, they were able to obviously keep it from blowing away. Then we came in here and we put the screws down here and up here to where we could put it on the outside. So there's a little track for that to run in. Right here, now right here, obviously, let's see, can you get one, Betsy, that's got the inside picture? Yeah, right there, probably the best one. All right, it's a little hard to see, but right here where these roll up, you can't connect them. So what happens when wind's blowing, they go, they don't blow away, they don't fly anymore, but they pop out there a little bit. So you got a space about this wide, 6 foot tall, is blowing right in there. So, me and my engineer, we're gonna go in here and we're gonna put a 2x6, actually 2x8, right here, on the rafter. We're going on the outside, we're gonna screw that to the rafter so that it's sticking out this way. On the outside, we're gonna take a grommet machine and put a grommet in there, put a tube before in there so that we can bolt it through the grommet so it doesn't tear the plastic, to the tube aid, hold it there, and then we're gonna do it right here. We're gonna, on the tube before side, we're gonna cut it in half. So it'll be a 3-foot section. We might go 2 foot and 4 foot, something we'll have it there so we can take the bottom part off and roll it up. That'll help keep a lot of the warmth in there. Some of the things that we found that we're going to do for the future, we're gonna build another one of these. When we order, we're gonna order it without any doors. We're gonna take this door off and use it down here, and then we'll cover this up. We found we don't need to get out both ends. As long as we can get out one end, we're fine. So it's hard to see, but there's strawberries planted in here. So, one of my other risks. Do you know that deer like strawberries?
Deer like everything.
Makes sense, but I didn't realize.
I had a cornfield, my renter had a cornfield right out here. We had between 20 and 15, well, more than that, 20 and 35 head of deer in our garden every day.
Mm.
They went inside my hoop house and ate my strawberries. They went into my garden. Not only did they eat my corn, they ate my rhubarb, they ate my onions, they ate my lettuce. I had lettuce this tall, 3 rows of lettuce, ready to go to the farmer's market the next day. What I do is thin it, go sell it, thin it, sell it. And I'm thinking, man, this is gonna be perfect. Went out there to pick my lettuce the next morning. It was this tall, looked like somebody taking a weed eater and cut it off. So, strawberries, rhubarb, lettuce, onions, corn. We got one picking of beans. Beans are gone. Deer are like 150-pound grasshopper. They'd walk right down my squash rows and take bites out of my squash. If the squash was ready, or if they liked it, they'd eat half of it. Otherwise, they just took a bite out of it. They love cassava melons. They eat them cassava melons like they're tomorrow. So we're gonna have to deer fence our garden. Called the game fish and I said, hey, can you guys come look at this? They came out and he goes, yep. You got a deer problem. Can you help me with deer fence? No, you don't qualify. Why don't I qualify? You're not a commercial garden. I said, wait a minute, I sold 40 garden shares at an average of $200 a piece. There's $8,000. I sell about $3,000 worth at the farmer's market. There's $11,000. What do you mean I'm not a commercial garden? The definition of a Wyoming game fish commercial garden is you have to have a license and sell it to the grocery store. So, we have insect risks, we have weed risks, we have hail risks, we have frost risks, all those kind of things. We've obviously been planning and planning and planning. What we've done for our tomatoes, we've built trellises. They look like this on the end. On the side, they look like this. This is 6 inches here, this is about 22. And the reason it's 22 is because it's the width of these. What we're going to do this year is, the reason we have this up here is when we plant our tomatoes, if you don't tie them up, I'm not sure you all raise tomatoes, it just crushes them down, the fruit does. So when we plant our tomatoes in here, we'll have these tomatoes in here. We'll have a string that comes down right down here like this. And then what you do is you just wrap it around the tomato as it goes up. Then what we'll do here is as those plants come up, we'll tie the leaves so that it supports the fruit. Works really well. Another thing we're going to do to mitigate our risk in here, February 15th is when we're going to start tomatoes in our greenhouse. We have grow beds, and then you plug it in, it brings temperature up to about 70 degrees. Set your plants on top of that, sprout them. We have grow lights so that when they come out, they get real spindly if you don't have grow lights. All a grow light is just a fluorescent light bulb. Then we'll come in here and we'll set walls of water. I don't know if you know what a wall of water is, but on the base it's about this big around, the top it's about like this. They're about 2 foot high and they have little compartments in them, you fill them with water. They act like a miniature greenhouse. So in here there'll be a wall of water with a tomato plant in it, going up the row. And our hope is that we don't have a frost problem between the walls of water and the hoop house. It should keep them tomato plants from freezing. So we learned lots of things. We built some planters and built cultivators to cultivate with our tractor and those kind of things, and trying to diminish the amount of work as much as we can. We sell our produce on Mondays at the Powell Farmers Market and Thursdays at Cody. As far as the farmers market part goes, we sell a lot more produce in Cody than we do in Powell. And partially, I think it's just because of tourists coming through. The legislature right now is debating a food bill. We were down there the other day listening to them. Part of what they're doing is they're following USDA recommendations. We cannot sell chopped greens. So you can't go to the farmer's market and buy chopped spinach or chopped lettuce or anything. They'll let us cut it one time. What they wanted us to do was pull it. The Swiss chard is a beautiful plant. Those leaves get up like this, cut them off, just like rhubarb. They grow right back, get up like that, cut them off again, they grow up. No. You gotta pull the plant. Because somebody somewhere, I think it was a big commercial spinach grower in California, there was some E. coli coming out of there. So now they're saying, oh, it's because they chopped it. They won't let us sell eggs at the farmer's market. Well, they will, but it's under all these little guidelines. And you can't drink raw milk. I was raised on raw milk, and it didn't kill me, and you probably was raised on raw milk, and you might even been raised on raw milk. So I took just a little, what would I say, a non-scientific survey at the farmer's market one day. I actually ran it 2 days in Powell, 2 days in Cody. My question was, if you could buy raw, unpasteurized milk and cream, would you buy it? What do you think the percentage of no to yes was?
No to yes? Gosh, I don't know. I would have thought it would be at least 70 or 80% yes.
Absolutely correct. 75% said yes, 45% said no. We attended a Wyoming Department of Agriculture hearing in Sheridan. There was 127 people in there. 2 said, no, don't change the rule. Well, you can change the rule. You don't have to buy raw milk. You can go buy it at the grocery store.
Right.
And the guy said, well, you know, we just follow the USDA rules. And the crowd was getting kind of upset with this dude because he was just doing the government lingo. We're here to help, but we don't want to do anything. And finally one of them said, you know what? Why do we need a Department of Wyoming Agriculture if all you're going to do is follow USDA rules? One of them suggested we put a sign up at each road that comes into Wyoming. This is Wyoming. Take your own risk. You know? So my point that I'm trying to get today is that if I was trying to make a living doing this, my granddaughter wouldn't get Christmas presents from me. This is an expensive hobby. My little tractor wasn't free. My implements I have for my tractor wasn't free. This building wasn't free. you know, those kinds of things. But I really enjoy doing this, and it's a lot of fun in my opinion. Betsy was, I don't know if she was a fortunate or an unfortunate recipient of our garden shares this year, but boy, when those gardens decide it's time, hang on, because there's a lot of produce.
We put in a request so that he cuts back on the zucchini.
So, and I'm glad she said that, because here's what we looked at. We have a little Shih Tzu dog, his name's Dozer, he's a D1, he's not very big. And he's an old grouchy old guy like me. And he is my wife's treasure. And so she buys these biscuits and stuff that comes out of it. And they're like $5 for a little dinky package, these dog biscuits. So we started looking at the ingredients. So what we're going to do this year, so the pumpkins and the zucchini and the yellow squash and the acorn squash, and those kind of things that we don't sell, we're just going to shred them and freeze them. And then we're going to make dog biscuits out of honey and our old crop beans. We're going to sprout them. So she'll have honey and sprouted beans and zucchini in that, and use poor Dozer as a test. And if Dozer likes them, then we're going to package them and sell them. So kind of like what Jarvis did down there with his raspberries. When we got to the spot where we couldn't, raspberries, like gardens, are a perishable commodity. You got to do something quick. So he started freezing them, juicing them, and making jams and jellies, and his internet business is phenomenal. So we're going to do that because, you know, quite frankly, they don't care if my dog gets food poisoning.
Yeah.
But if
You
you
can
buy
chop
it
them.
and you did, I'd probably be in trouble. So the risk I found, or market risk, obviously, trying to get our shelter sold. You know, the learning curve, my goodness, it's crazy. It's amazing. You have 39 different sets of criteria when you raise 39 different vegetables. Because carrots don't act like cucumbers, and cucumbers don't act like rutabagas, and potatoes don't act like peas, and it's just crazy what you know, so you run into those things. I think if you could say, I'm going to be a pea farmer, and just have peas, you'd probably get to where you're pretty good at raising peas. So anyway, I don't know if there's anybody that has any other questions, but Sandy Frost tomorrow is going to talk about, they call these high tunnels.
Or she calls them hoop houses.
Pardon?
She calls them hoop houses.
Yeah. And this one is what they call a Gothic because of the way the roof is built. The ones she's probably going to show you, most of them are just round like that. We went this route so that I could get my tractor in there. Because I'm thinking this is probably going to be more of a commercial type scenario than just a home garden thing. So we have room to build 5 of them, but I don't think we're going to get quite that carried away. Probably 2. You can't see it, but right here in
You'll
this
be able to
corner
make a
right
lot of
here.
dog biscuits.
Pardon?
You'll be able to make a lot of dog biscuits.
Yeah, no kidding.
If Tony
When
wants
you're
to
gonna have
do
to buy
this.
5 gardens, buddy. But right here in this corner, but on this end, we have a hydrant. It's wired. Betsy, can you go to that picture with the kids in there? So we do have electricity in there. We don't have lights in there. Yeah,
Oh, hold on.
this one right here. Okay, you can see right here, there's in there are electrical outlets. You can see the electricity, and then there's one here. Trying to figure out how to irrigate these things are not easy either. So we put an irrigation system in that runs across here like this, and our intent was to run the garden hoses down here, and we tried sprinklers and everything else. Finally one day I set my water up on my garden with my gated pipe, and I thought, man, this works really good. Why don't I build a gated pipe for here? So I got 3/4 inch plastic, not plastic, but that PCV pipe. Put it together. There's not one in this picture. So it goes from here up to there. and there's these little hose bibs up here. Well, I found out something that made all the holes the same size. If your water source is here, the water runs really good to about right there, and then you run out. Well, gated pipe has a gate on it. You can open the top one about this much, and the bottom one you can open that much. So with a little bit of experimenting and a couple of pieces of inexpensive pipe, from here to here are really small holes. From here to here are medium holes, and from here to here are bigger holes. It's so cool. You just turn that thing on, and in an hour you can water that whole thing. With a little dinky 3/4 inch gated pipe. So that's our water system for next year. So we don't see how we stake these tomatoes. It didn't work. We had to build those trellises. But and these cucumbers right here was kind of an afterthought. I planted 2 rows of cucumbers out in my big garden. 2 rows of 120-foot long cucumbers should be plenty of cucumber. Before they came up, I thought, I wonder what cucumbers would do in here. So I planted this row of cucumbers. It's a good thing I did. Pheasants ate my cucumbers. I didn't have one single cucumber come up in the big garden. So for my 40 garden shares, this was my whole amount of cucumbers. I got cucumbers, but there wasn't a whole lot of them. Every zucchini plant came up 3 times. Not really.
Sounds to me like your problem isn't a shortage of vegetables, that you got too much protein. You need to start harvesting some of that protein around there.
There you go. One of the things that was kind of interesting was on the zucchini. When kids come by, I have grandkids, so obviously you can see that this one here, she's 6 and that one's 2. So when moms come by with their little kids, I tell them, Mom, I have grandkids the size of your children, and they can take something off my table for free. So one day this little guy, just barely as tall as the table, he was about this tall, comes up there, and I told her that. And she had a little tiny one in a stroller, and this little guy. And so he picked out one for his sister in the stroller, and I had, how it is when a zucchini gets away from you, you forget to pick it for 2 days. Just figure out in that long. Honest to God, I had one that was that big. He goes, anything on the table? Yep, anything on the table. He goes, Mom, I want this one right here. Big one. She said, what are we going to do with it? He goes, eat it. So he took that zucchini, he barely carried it. It weighed almost as much as him. But it's interesting because I like zucchinis that are about this big around, about that long. You chop them up like a cucumber and stuff and whatever. Well, I always take the big ones to the farmer's market. I had 5 of them big old nasty hogs and chickens love them. So if we don't sell them, they'll feed them to the chickens. The guy come up there, one guy bought all 5 of them. What are you going to do with these? He said, we shred them up, make zucchini bread, and make it for the whole year. And we'll give it away as gifts and stuff. And then big ones work, but wow. So it's amazing what people, you can't tell what they're going to buy and what they want. And some of them whine and moan and complain. Most of them are just glad they have what they get. So, okay, so my talk today was diminishing risk. This thing right here really, really helps diminish risk. It will help from a light frost. So it should give me 10 days in the spring and 2 weeks in the fall. And all my research raising tomatoes, they tell me that the reason tomatoes don't turn ripe here very well, it's supposed to be 70 degrees at night.
Wow.
Well, there are not many nights it hits 70 degrees here. We had much better luck raising tomatoes in town than we did out on the farm. Get to thinking about it. All those buildings, all that cement, all that pavement's radiating that heat up. So we're creating a micro environment right in there and raising big old beefsteak tomatoes turning red and just awesome. So with this hoop house here, and then the walls of water in the spring, tying them up, those kind of things, we're anticipating knock on wood. Quite a tomato crop this year. So again, we're gonna have, probably three of these rows will be tomatoes. We're gonna have one that's gonna be, probably two that'll be peppers, and then one that's gonna be a variety of things. Anyway, that's what I had. Do you have any questions?
How does your shares work? Is it $200 a year? And then you can just swing by whenever and get?
No, what happens is, there's different ways of doing it, but the way I do it is, we're gonna raise the price a little bit. It's gonna be $250 a share. Last year it was $200. We had two different shares. We had what we call a half share at $200 and a full share at $400. This year we're just gonna have one price.
Mm-hmm.
If you want two shares, you can buy two shares.
Sure.
But what we do is we pick the produce, whatever the garden's producing that day, on Monday, and we bring it to the farmer's market in Powell. If you're closer to Powell, you stop by the farmer's market and pick it up. You don't pay me anything because it's already prepaid. Then we do the same thing Thursday on Cody. And so it starts out, the first things are radishes and those early crop things, and then it goes into the whatever it happens to be, and then of course in August, maybe last part of July, August, you start getting potatoes and just whatever the garden produces. You just stop by the farmer's market, pick it up, all one deal. Works good. A lot of people really enjoyed it.
Last year I had a share, it was plenty big enough for two people.
What is it? Much for corn and potatoes?
Pardon?
Much for corn and potatoes, sweet corn and potatoes, do you raise quite a bit of that?
We had lots of, we'll have probably 38 rows of corn. And what we'll do is we'll plant our corn in 3 separate plantings.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll plant we'll plant them 2 weeks apart. And the first one will probably be 15th of April, take the risk on that one, then the 1st of May and 15th of May. And we're gonna, I don't know if I can name them all without looking at them, but that's where we're gonna have potatoes, carrots, onions, corn, beans. We'll have several different squashes like the acorn, buttercup. We had Hubbard squash last year, nobody liked it, nobody uses it much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of pumpkins, watermelons, we had really nice watermelons. We had some cantaloupe, and then,
That sounds way better than me trying to plant one with anything.
it is,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if you want a good variety of, what a Powwow garden is. If we get we're gonna plant like I said, we're gonna plant our tomatoes from seed in 15th of February in a greenhouse. And our intent is to plant them in here in walls of water 1st April. So we should have tomatoes, knock on wood, if not hailstone, somewhere around 15th of June to the 1st of July. And it's interesting at the farmer's market, there's 3 places at the lines, and if you have a booth, you want to right beside one of them. One of them's Haney's with their sweet corn when it comes on in August. One of them's the baker, bakes baked goods.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is a couple out of Thermopolis that come with tomatoes. Big, beautiful tomatoes, they sell them by the pound, and there's a line as soon as those tomatoes are on. Because the tomatoes that you buy from the farmer's market don't taste like cardboard and they're not hard. They're just, because they're vine ripe, instead of ripening on the truck to the store, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
So we'll have cucumbers, Swiss chard, kohlrabi, we'll have rhubarb, garlic, onions. It'll just be a real nice variety. We'll start advertising here pretty quick. probably next week sometime.
Okay.
We're going to, we'll 40. What a share basically is we have these,
What do you think?
they look like milk cartons when we were kids, those plastic crates that are
Yeah,
a foot cube.
yeah.
That's basically what a share is. And when the zucchini really gets good, you get 2 of those.
And more dropped off in your office.
But, you know, I think probably the reason that, like I said before, this is a hobby. It's an expensive hobby. But once you get all this stuff paid for,
Yeah.
I think that probably, if I had 2 of these hoop houses plus my garden and a half, you could probably make a fairly decent living with it. Especially if we can do our waste products into dog food or something like that. Chickens really love zucchini. You could do the whole world of zucchini. Chickens, they would just be, if they could eat grasshoppers and zucchini, we'd have the happiest chickens in the world. All right, Betsy, can you think of anything?
Yuri, do they have farmers markets in Ukraine? Do they have a look? Okay.
Are you from central or southern Ukraine or? Oh, I've not been to Ukraine, I've been to Siberia and to Moscow, but and I understand Ukraine's a separate country now, but I guess it's really quite an agricultural area, huh?
Yeah.
Would it be kind of corresponding to like Iowa for us?
Don't ask me. I don't know.
Probably more like North Dakota, wouldn't it be a little,
Latitude wise, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
but they should be able to, I mean, it's kind of a breadbasket of little farm soda union,
Yeah, that speaker at lunch was telling us there's a lot of grain coming out of the Ukraine.
The first exporter of wheat in the world and the first exporter of sunflower oil in the world.
Yeah, I bet that would probably be right.
Yeah.
It's a very fertile land. 25% of black soils concentrated in my country.
Really?
During World War II, a German army just picked land and put on the trains, and trains go to Germany with,
Wow.
with Ukrainian to the horizon.
Just hauling soil.
Soil.
Really?
Yes.
I never heard of this, but it wouldn't surprise me.
You can know, for example, if I have some land in capital area, and you can go to average soil and dig once with stone, dig second time and dig third time, it would be all black soil. That's why I think how we can manage this crappy land.
Let's go
It's
back
only
to the
rocks
picture
and
from there.
dust. It's like a desert. I
Yeah.
can't understand how we can do that.
Let me show you how, what my dirt looks like.
Is there a copy on
That's not my grandson, by the way.
Cute chicken.
He isn't clean.
This other one right here, we had a rooster that was kind of an honor beggar. And we told those kids, do not, if the rooster's outside, don't bother him. So her older sister, they come by the shop there, I was building a swing farm, and they said, leave that rooster alone, he's out in the cornfield. Well, the 6-year-old went over and threw a rock at him. He comes charging at her, he's gonna get her. Well, she takes off running and he gets the little one.
Yeah. Right.
Knocked her down and just spurred her face, blood running.
We did.
Really?
Oh, wow.
He died.
Yeah.
You can see my rocks.
They're nice.
They're really, really pretty. And it's hard to tell, but, well, up here they're really, really rocky. And right here is my cement ditch, and I irrigate this little piece this direction, or this way, irrigates this way. So it's been a fun experience. And I know I'm overlapping there, Quinn, but I did that on purpose.
I believe you did.
My GPS unit was malfunctioning. Floyd Derrick told me, he said, you know how to do that, Larry? He said, get your buttercup turned upside down on top there and everybody think you have a GPS. I said, as soon as they look at my rows, I can't even keep them from being used to it. Anyway. All right, well, thanks, folks. I don't have any more unless you guys have.
Thank you.
questions. But if anybody wants a garden share, now's the time to sign up.
I'm gonna talk to Tracy, I think she probably will. Yeah. I imagine she'll make me go to farmer's market and pick it up. That's okay.
Well, it's around convenient. It's from 4:30 to 6
Yeah.
on Mondays.
I imagine she
And
will.
it's
You'll be seeing her at the walk.
From May till October, you get something?
It's probably more like last part of June to clear through October. Yeah. If we could perfect this hoop house to get those tomatoes a little quicker. But,
It'd be really good if that came with a gal that would cook that stuff.
hey,
Her cannon.
we have, Tony sells a ton of jelly.
I have some apricot jelly in my fridge that I'm still eating.
Awesome, but
It's
she
very
sells
good.
jelly like you cannot fathom. It's unbelievable. And we have our own choke cherries, our own green cherries. And so one guy comes up and he goes, "Can you make tomato preserves?" She said, "Well, I've not tried it." So she found a recipe and made some tomato
Yeah.
preserves. Oh my gosh, those things are good.
Are they?
They are. She's awesome.
Huh.
And so then we had plums. We have plums,
Mhm.
wild plums too. They're only about that big.
Yep.
We'd have a bag of plums, and I'd say, "Plum jelly and waiting." Take one. Yeah, here's the plums. Here's the recipe, and you can make your own.
Yeah.
But you know what? Nobody did. It's better to sell the jelly.
Yeah.